Hey, folks, as you know, I do some consulting, some mentoring, and coaching of individuals, depending on the topic, whether it's being a plant manager, reliability and maintenance professional, maintenance manager, or you're an entrepreneur, or financial advice from somebody that is a person that retired early. I retired at 54, and I'm not going to give you investment advice, but I can talk about the journey to financial independence and what it's like 3 years into retirement. So I do some of that, and I have a few phone calls a week. I wanted to touch on some another piece of advice that I seem to be given on a regular basis, and this is targeting really your professional career. A common question I ask that stumps people. These people are bright. They're eager. They take a lot of action. They got a lot of drive. But I stump them with the question, "Where do you want to be in 5 years? Describe to me what 5 years from now looks like?" And quite often they can't. But I get them there. And maybe they are a maintenance planner, they're a reliability professional, and they want to be a plant manager, they want to be a maintenance manager. We get to the point where they want to be 5 years from now. And I like the 5 year time period. It's 10 years seems so long term. And I think, people underestimate what they can get done in 10 years, and they overestimate what they can get done in 1 year. That was a quote from somebody, but 5 years seems to be something that's not too far in advance. It seems so distant, but yet it's past the everyday busyness and stuff that you get wrapped up in. So then, after I ask where they want to be, I say, "What actions do you need to take today?" Come back to today. What actions do you need to take to make that a reality? You know, and how do you know what those actions are going to be? Folks, you've heard this a bunch of times, go and see. A lot of people use KPIs. They say, "Oh, I just need to spend more time in my job." That's not true. You know, y- uh, you got to come up with specific actions. And people, if somebody's going to try to promote you, they promote you based on your ability to drive change and to get things done. So you got to execute, okay? And you got to execute on things that are meaningful to the operations, to your organization, whatever it is. And how do you know what those right things are? Go and see. Go and see. You know the KPIs, you got opinion of others, you're in all these meetings, but the reality of what's happening out there in your factory, in your business, in your investments, whatever it happens to be, by going and see, you get intimate knowledge and you know what actions to take. Okay. So, um, let me go through an example. And this is examples for me. Okay. I'm the most knowledgeable person on my career, right? So, my story. Um, I went through this exercise and where I was, hey, where do I want to be in 5 years? And this was early in my career. Let's say I was probably 25, 26. And that's where I've learned some things around it was just really innate at the time around going and see. If I didn't know what action to take, what result, what problems we were having, or I was given a quality problem or an efficiency problem or a throughput problem. First thing I did was go out and just immerse myself in the process and watch, be a fly on the wall. So the go and see was with me early on. I didn't learn about lean until 1996. What was I? I was like 32 at the time. Yeah, 32, 96. But then it kind of formalized my training around go and see, observation, knowing current state. And I would say that so number one skill is about going and see. These are the things, actions I chose to take today when I was 25, let's say, or it could be whatever age you are. Go and see. Go and see is such a powerful tool. Number two was focus, focus, focus. There's so much muck to stay busy on. You could stay busy 8 hours a day reading email. You could stay busy 8 hours a day being in conference meetings or on calls. But folks, you got to get a C on some things. I got a whole video dedicated to getting a C. It's nice to say, "Hey, only work on these four things. I'm only going to do these four things," but then your boss gives you 10 more things. What do you do with those 10 other things? One, you got to decide how important they are, and sometimes getting a C, that means, for if that doesn't translate well, getting an A on something is, I'm referring to like school education. A means you've mastered it. B means you kind of mastered most of it. C means you did an acceptable amount. So sometimes when you get a project, getting an A will take you a month's worth of work. Getting a B may take a week. Getting a C may take 4 hours. Okay. So decide what projects to get a C on. Okay. Keeping in mind your 5 year goal. 5 year goal, and you want to get an A on those items. Okay. So number two was focus and consider getting a C on a few action items. Number three, hey, this is very Neanderthal and simple. Is I chose to I decided that the difference between good and great was 10% effort. So I actually chose to spend 10% more time at work every day, and I just did that. I just said I'm going to spend, and I don't know if this this math doesn't exactly work out, but I actually most people left well, we started around 6:30 in the morning and ended around 4. Most people were started to leave around 4. I started working at 4:40. Added 4:40 was when I was going to leave. One of these days I'll do that math on how much time that is. But that was part of my plan, is saying, if I could just do 10% more, if I could just do that 40 minutes, what's 40 minutes extra a day? What would that do to my career over the course of over this 5 year period? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's huge, huge, folks, because it's not interrupted by meetings, not interrupted by stuff. It's my time on my critical action items. That was number three. Number four, read. Folks, and I use reading loosely. I became a massive book on tape guy. This was before YouTube. This was before Audible. You used to have to get a cassette. But I would go to the library. I'd buy these things, just books on tape. Then it became books on CD, and then you got into Audible. And I was consuming easily 40, 50 books a year. And just you're standing on the shoulders of giants. You're standing on you're learning those lessons that other people have spent careers going after. Reading, just huge accelerator. And related to an accelerator is, build your network, get a mentor, get a coach. I'm telling you, folks, having somebody that you can call, sit down with, and describe your fears, describe your actions, describe your concerns. And this person saying, well, here's what I did in my life. Here's what I did in my career. You're learning from others. Man, it's just so valuable. Imagine you're going on a hike up a mountain, and you have the opportunity. You've never been on this hike before. You don't know what you should bring, from water, from food, and how treacherous is it? What kind of shoes should you wear? What kind of coat should you bring? How long did it take you? And you sit down before that hike and you talk to somebody that's been on that hike 10 times, 10 times, and they're offering you these little nuggets. How more effective are you on that hike? How much more prepared are you on that hike? Okay, it's just obvious. Okay, learn from others. Okay, by networking a coach, if you want to accelerate your career, that's huge. And then number six, and this was really a mindset for me, is failure is really learning. I never got down by failing. One of the things that always puzzled me, it was a common interview question, is describe a failure that you've had in your career. And I really had trouble with that, because I didn't really consider anything I did in my career a failure. I learned some lessons really hard, and the results didn't work out, but I learned something that made me better. So is that a failure, or is that just how humans learn? And the more research you do, that's how humans learn. They learn, having a big failure. You lose money in the stock market. You made a decision that financially cost a lot of money. You say, okay, that is programmed in your mind. You remember that 30 years later, right? You don't forget those things, and you learn from them, but you can't be paralyzed by them. So that's my story of when I was going through this exercise of, what's 5 years look like, and what actions to take. My 5 year plan, I wanted to be a vice president of the company. Okay. I wanted to just keep on moving up the company and climb that corporate. I loved leadership. I loved my time in a factory. I love to make things. I'm a mechanical engineer. I like understanding how things work. I like knocking down barriers for people. And I wanted positions of more and more authority so I can have more and more impact on the business. I just loved it. So, hey, kind of in summary, folks, looking back on my career, that was the exercise I went through in my 20s and around where I wanted to be in 5 years. I constantly did that. So that's constantly been evolving. But looking back, my career started 35 years ago now. But great accelerators: read, learn from others, stand on the shoulders of these giants that just oozed their knowledge in a book format. In an 8 hour, 10 hour read, you can have somebody's 35, 40 year career reading. A mentor and a coach, folks. I offer that service, but if you've got a coach of somebody inside of your plant, inside your organization, your career will be greatly accelerated by having a mentor and a coach. Let's see, I'm looking on my checkboard over here. Number three, you got to make failures equal to learning. You can't be paralyzed by failure. It is a huge problem, especially for engineers. They hate being wrong. They make a decision and to put in this certain kind of bearing and it fails, or they say we can accelerate the line 1,000 feet per minute more and it fails. We have all kinds of quality issues. Those are learnings, not failures. And so many people, especially men, this is worse than men, hate being wrong. So they will be paralyzed and they'll study things longer and longer and longer, years even, before they take action. Where the people that take quick action and fail and accept that failure, they learn a lot faster. You'll get a lot more things done inside of a 5 year period. So make failure equal to learning. And the last thing is no reality. And this is a huge problem in manufacturing today, in business today. People don't know reality. They sit around a conference room, they talk about their own experiences, they talk about their belief of how these experiences occurred. And when you reflect back on history, you remember about 80%. You forget some of the embarrassing things, you leave some of those things out. But go in and seeing, go and see the adding to your data set firsthand, chalk circle observation, game changer, folks. Those are my learnings. Those are my four things: read, get a mentor, a coach, make failure equal learning, and create a go and see culture, adding chalk circle observation. Those four things are what I've learned in my 35 years. Okay, this is Joe out.